like and subscribe. People no longer bound by their NDA, what can you now disclose? Cheetah's clean paws. I worked in market research and Frito-Lay tested these back in 2007, I think. The concept was Cheetahs that didn't leave orange dust on your fingers. What that translates to is Cheetahs with an edible lacquer sprayed on them. But they tested very poorly, because they tasted like they had edible lacquer sprayed on them. My coworkers and I referred to them as semi-gloss Cheetahs. Hey fellow former PepsiCo person. I actually worked in engineering designing those coating systems There are power line transformers that predate WW1 still up and running in the US, and the utility companies aren't 100% sure where most of them are. They only find out when one finally dies. Someone over 100 years ago put up a transform that powered telegrams all the way to Twitter. Edit. Okay, so people are asking. We'll try to address everything. I worked in the telecom sector. That means I needed to know something about how utility poles operated. On my first day they handed me a binder that was an idiot's guide to utility poles and made me sign an NDA on it. It was dumb, because I'm sure even back then it was public information. I really do not know more than I stated. I use low-watt transformers at work and they are a black box of magic to me. Some people are mentioning PCBs, and sure, that makes sense. I don't know what they used to call them 100 years ago. Transformers can last a long time. I have pulled multi-decade ones out of machines, so the idea that one hit the century mark seems reasonable to me, and I haven't questioned it. When my internship was over I talked to a professor I knew about this, and she mentioned the bird poop thing. I'm not sure if this related to the multiple fires in California. My internship was in the Bay Area. And I sort of remember the binder being general, not that one particular area. Forgive me, but this was about 2007, so I can't remember this perfectly. The last day of my university I stuck the binder on the shelf in the engineering section of the library. I'm not sure how to locate them, or what they even look like. It was just a chart on paper. I admit the idea is really a cool concept, but based on what I'm reading here, if you found one, be very wary. My NDA is still in effect, but I've covered my liability. A few years, with a previous insurance company I worked for, we fired an employee who had a nasty personality. Imagine a toxic gamer working in a call center, and that would be this guy. He had been the son, or grandson, of one of the board members, so he wasn't a shareable. When his relative on the board got voted out, it was finally time for this little troll to be fired. His supervisor took him to a conference room to let him know he was fired, and he was escorted from the building by security. As the HR manager, I was tasked with clearing his desk and separating his property from company property. That was when I found a heavily used 5-inch x 8-inch notepad on his desk that had a list of names. Next to each name was a mailing addresses and details about how this ex-employee planned to harm these people. I did some digging and found they were all current or former clients of the company, and that they all had filed complaints against this monster. It was a hit list. I notified the board ***** AFTER****. I notified the police. The was arrested on unrelated drug and assault charges. The prosecutor now had to consider charging this guy for his hit list. Since she couldn't convince a judge there was a strong enough case, the prosecutor decided to impanel a grand jury. Since I was the individual who found the notepad, I was subpoenaed to confirm its provenance. Considering any other employee could have walked by and deposited this list on this asshole's desk, the grand jury decided to not move ahead to a trial. For the drug and assault charges, the former employee was sentenced to 16 years in prison. As a witness, I wasn't issued a gag order regarding the grand jury investigation. However, my work did order me to sign an NDA to protect the clients who were on that hit list. It was really just to cover up that they were in any danger. I signed and then quit as soon as I got a job offer with another company. Those on the board cared more about their profit margin and public image than they did about people's lives. If they figure out I'm violating that NDA, there's not much they can do. They know antagonizing me with a lawsuit would only lead to me telling the media, naming the company, and ruining their public image. Edit. For clarification, the reason I signed the NDA was because I needed access to my office computer so I could look up the most recent contact information the company had for the people targeted on the hit list. I then gave that contact information to the prosecutor and her investigators. They just tracked down the last person this year and everyone is safe and accounted for. A recently hired employee trapped a secretary in a bathroom at the company Christmas party and raped her. He was caught in the act, sentenced, and will serve a long jail term. All the employees who knew about the details were forced to sign strong NDA and ordered not to talk to any other employees. No one was told why the guy didn't show up for work ever again. The victim was offered a generous payout and never came back to work. Bowers put out a story that she was taking time off for personal reasons and her coworkers were never told why. Everything was hushed up as much as it could be. The company changed from open bar to drink tickets for all future company events. I guess they didn't get the memo that alcohol doesn't cause rapes as much as rapists do. When Cheerios first got their awesome blossom, there were no machines to cut the onion, so we did it by hand. I had to sign an NDA before they showed me how to do it. This was in November 1990, feet. Worth, TX. I licked parts that went into a rocket, that went into space. A doggo is a doggy daycare in Minnesota that made me sign an NDA for 2 years saying I was not allowed to talk about the company mainly, sadly, because they treat the workers and dogs like no care for how many dogs were packed into a room, which is both unsafe for the dogs and the dog attendant. Often I would be alone in a small room with up to 25 plus dogs, most who only had the most minor of behavioral tests done to see if they would play well in daycare. Owner also tried to get around not paying my workers' comp when I did get injured on the job, and whenever anybody put in their 2 weeks, after realizing what a toxic work environment it was, which was often, he would punish them with scheduling them all week, or make them open to close 12 hours for all their shifts. If you're in Minnesota and looking for a reputable dog daycare, stay away from a doggo. If in the Twin Cities, I would recommend Dog Days. Not perfect, but they actually seem to care. Used to work in a warehouse where we made feminine hygiene products. The pads came out of one machine into several different branded boxes. Both the nickel gas station pads and the $10 a box pads. Also, we had one product of pads where we imported them from China, then repackaged them into our own boxes. I didn't have a problem with that. The problem I had was the box had an emblem saying made in America. Well, it'd been okay if it said assembled in America. But no. The outcomes of quite a few reality shows I directed were rigged. I had a friend who was on a European version of Survivor. Some things were rigged or played up. But a lot of it was stuff like, the crew would hear that 2 contestants had an argument, so they had to reenact the argument for the camera, which was awkward. And at some point a contestant just wanted to leave the island, but you can't just say that, so they voted him out as they agreed, and people had to act all shocked, and be like this is a huge betrayal and last minute twist. Edit, this was Norwegian Survivor, which is called the Robinson Expedition. I used to work for a company that tracked ticket sales for theaters across the US. By contractual agreement with Hollywood studios, we collected information for approximately 80% of theaters, but we were not allowed to collect that last 20%. Why? You may have heard of Hollywood accounting. https Wikipedia.org/wiki/Hollywood_accounting. Hollywood studios work very hard to ensure their accounting is as beneficial to the studios as possible. No surprise, all businesses do this. But Hollywood has unusually high amounts of money in very narrow products, creating a distorted market. And the industry is rife with films grossing obscene amounts of money, but not reporting a profit. https://www/film.com/Lucasfilm tells Darth Vader that Return of the Jedi hasn't made a profit / because our company couldn't collect that last 20% of theater data, it wasn't possible to absolutely say that a movie made 10th number of dollars. so I can't prove it, but on Friday, June 21st, 2002, the movies Minority Report and Lilo and Stitch were both released to great fanfare. Minority Report's opening week was reported at $35,677,125. 0% of total gross. https://www. The numbers. com/movie/minority-report-tab equals Lilo and Stitch's opening weekend was reported as $35,260,212. 2% of total gross. https://www. The numbers. com/movie/lilo-and-stitch-tab equals This is a lie. Lilo and Stitch earned more money than Minority Report its opening weekend. 20th Century Fox couldn't have a Tom Cruise feature film being beaten by a cartoon. So someone at 20th Century Fox called Disney and offered a deal. Since the full amount of money earned couldn't be proven, Fox would announce that Minority Report was the top earner for the weekend. In exchange, we never knew what the exchange was. We simply knew that Minority Report was reported as the top earner and Disney received some benefit for not saying anything. And then there was the storm of Jiggly later, but that's another story. Update. Technically, I could have said this much earlier, because when the studios found out our company wasn't handing out NDAs to employees, the studios were not happy. You do not make Hollywood studios unhappy. So the company quickly rushed to get NDAs out to everyone. They were distributed per team. They were distributed the week that I was switching teams. So both my old and my new team assumed I had an NDA when I didn't. I never bothered to correct their error. Update 2 **** by request. Here's the Jiggly story. https://www. reddit.com/r/credit/comment/our/people_no_longer_bound_there_by_u/h76fz/. When I was tech, before I was a vet, I worked in a lab that mostly tested animal meds on animals. Flea products, heartworm meds, etc. We had one product in testing for human medication though, which was an injection that supposedly was going to shorten the need to wear retainers after having braces. Of course, to test that, we needed animals that had worn braces long enough to replicate the changes that happen to human mouths that have had braces. What I'm getting at was that some days it was my job to brush the mouths of like 50 beagles that all had braces and make sure the wires and brackets were in place and not causing any trauma to the lips or gingiva. The image of dozens of goofy little dogs clacking around me in circles around the lab super excited to see me doing their ridiculous beagle howls and flashing their braces as they did so will never leave my brain. You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck.